everybody. My name is Wendy. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. I am going to be sharing with you 5 things that Stampin' UP pros do to save money in their business. This is a really fun subject for me because I feel like there's lots of tips and tricks out there, and there's so many things I would have done differently if I would have known a little sooner to do them. But I wanted to share 5 things with you today that our online demonstrators might do, and then 5 things that an in-person demonstrator might do, and I'm going to explain the difference between those 2 things. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so what is an online demonstrator and what is an in-person demonstrator? Basically, the difference is this. If you run your business all online, that means that you don't hold in-person workshops and events and classes. If you hold your events in person, then you're an in-person demonstrator. That means you hold workshops, classes, and events. You can be a combination of both. There's lots of people that do both, and there's nothing wrong with that. I personally do very few in-person events. Most of my business is all online, which is why I develop YouTube videos and things like that. Okay, so the first thing that you can do to save yourself a whole lot of money and time, really this goes for if you're in person or online, is buy a Dymo label maker. These things are amazing, and I'm going to show it to you really quick, and I'm also going to show you why they save you so much time, because it took me forever to buy one, and it was because I just kind of really didn't understand how it was going to make my life easier. But it's a huge time saver. So if you spend a lot of time hand writing out addresses, you definitely need one of these, and there is a link below the video for you to purchase one if you're interested. Okay, the next thing is emailing your PDFs instead of printing them. If you're an online demonstrator, I would not recommend printing PDF tutorials to mail to people. Instead, collect emails from everybody who signs up for your events or your classes and email them the information. Even if you're gonna plan on doing an event in person, this could be a time saver and a money saver. You email them the PDF and they're happy to print it themselves or welcome to print it themselves. If not, then they have that choice. But printing a bunch of documentation for people is a huge, huge, huge waste of time and resources. Number 3. Use PayPal when you can for your shipping. If you're shipping something flat rate, if you run it through PayPal, you actually get a discount. So if you don't know how to use PayPal or you don't have a PayPal account, you're probably not an online demonstrator, and that's okay. But if you do want to do this, you basically need to learn how to use PayPal and learn how to do the shipping. Unfortunately, I'm not here to teach you that because that's quite a process, but there are tons of videos on PayPal and on YouTube teaching you how to use that resource. Okay, number 4, use what you got. Instead of spending a ton of money on getting new equipment or new things, use what you have. I record this very video every single week on my iPhone. That's right, I have an iPhone 8 Plus. I don't use any sort of fancy video recording equipment or anything like that. I just use my iPhone. I also record most all of my card making videos on my iPhone and take a lot of pictures with my iPhone. The other camera that I use is this one, which is a really, really nice camera, but it's not as big and bulky as a DSLR. So I highly recommend getting a nice, efficient camera if you don't have one, but usually the phone works great. So use what you have and don't waste money getting all the things that you think you have to run a business. I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see demonstrators make, is they decide in their head that in order to have a successful business or a blog or a YouTube channel, they have to have all this fancy equipment in place first, or all this fancy lighting, or all these things. Y'all, I don't have any lighting except my window, and I use my iPhone for everything, and I would consider myself a successful demonstrator. So don't get caught up in having all these gadgets and who's its and what's its galore. Just enjoy what you have, use what you have. And if you do have a phone that's old or maybe doesn't take great photos, okay, maybe make a small investment. But please, please, please know that you don't need to have insane amounts of equipment to run this business online. You really don't. Okay, so we're going to talk about 5 things that demonstrators who run in-person businesses can use to save some money. Now, this first one's going to sound a little bit weird, but just hang with me when I explain it. Chalkboards. Chalkboards are a great way to save money because we tend to print stuff for our classes and hang it up or put it up, but you can now purchase those small chalkboards on easels at the craft and hobby stores, and you can just use chalk and write whatever needs to be written and put it up throughout your class. So that's something that I noticed was a big time saver and money saver for us, was not having to go to my computer and write up something and print it. I would just write it out on a chalkboard and have them sitting around throughout my class when I used to run classes. You can use a restaurant to hold your events. When I used to run an event monthly, we used Dickie's Barbecue in Jackson, and it worked perfectly, and there was no charge. She just asked that people eat at the restaurant, and they did. And so that was a great money saver for me, and it's a great way to keep the cost of your classes down. So check into restaurants around you. I know Panera Bread often will offer free space. Sometimes Starbucks has free spaces. Round Table Pizza, if you live on the West Coast, they often have a free buffet room or banquet room that you can use. So check into that. Use totes and label them instead of packing everything in cello bags. So you can use plastic totes that you purchase with lids on them and put all your supplies that are needed for that card into that tote, and then everybody can take one of each out of the tote, and that will save you money on buying cello bags and packing them individually. I personally still have to do that because I mail all of my classes and they need to be packaged individually. Each card kit does. But it's a good time and money saver when you just go ahead and put all the stuff that's needed for one class or one card in a tote. Oh, using reusable trash totes. So this is one of mine, and these are great to take to a class with you. And before you ask, you can get these on the Stampin' UP store if you are a demonstrator, but there is nowhere that they sell these. So you can get those little garbage totes and use those instead of using other stuff like paper bags or whatever. That's a really great way to save some money. Okay, here's the biggest one for in-person events. Have your customers bring their own adhesive. If they don't have adhesive, have some for purchase at the event. We can cash and carry items, so you are more than welcome to purchase we can cash and carry adhesive items. So you can purchase adhesive, put it in a basket, label it with the price of all the different adhesives that are in the basket, and you can sell them at your event. This is a great way to have a little upsell, and then people who are attending your event can purchase the adhesives right there from you if they don't have their own. The other thing is this: if you provide adhesive for your events, you're gonna go broke, because it is too expensive to provide adhesive in a class, especially if you have new stampers, because they tend to think that they have to cover an entire piece of cardstock before they put it down, or they might use a whole sheet of dimensionals on the back of something before they put it down because they're new and they don't understand. So if you want to save money on doing your events, you need to make that switch now and have people bring their own adhesive to your event. Now, I've had people say, well, what happens if they bring adhesive that's not made by Stampin' UP? That's okay. You have your adhesive there and available, and they can bring whatever they want to bring. If it's not Stampin' UP adhesive, that's totally fine. But you absolutely cannot provide it for your events because it's just too costly to do that for everybody. Okay, so those are your 5 tips, really 10 tips, but those are some of the things that the pros do to save some money. And I have to say there's a lot of other things out there to do to save money, but these were the ones that really stood out to me because they've made a big difference in my business. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you my Dymo label maker, and I'm also going to show you really quick on my computer kind of the program. I'm going to try to hold the camera as still as possible. Again, I'm not a professional videographer, so you're going to get it down and dirty as far as the filming is concerned, but you'll get the point and you'll see why this is such a huge time saver. Okay, let's do that now. Okay, so this is my Dymo label maker. I got the wireless one, and this is the one that I've linked to below, but you can get ones that are not wireless and that plug in. The reason I got wireless is so that my sister and I could both print from this simultaneously and it would be no issue. So inside is just a roll of labels, and then this is where the magic happens. We're gonna go over here, and before, actually, you know what, this is, Oak Manor is a rest home that I send cards to every once in a while. But in here, you can see it's got businesses, friends and family, lovely stampers team. And I can click on any of these and get addresses. All I have to do is go to the search and search it out. Click print. And ta-da! Done. Labeled, ready to go. Isn't that amazing? So that is the Dymo label maker. It is wonderful. It's a huge time saver, and it costs a little bit of money up front, but honestly, the amount of time it saves you in having to hand write an address is huge. So I hope you consider getting that. Again, link is below the video. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.